What's up, backyarders? We're in the backyard today and we're gonna do a test on some pork ribs, some baby back ribs. We're gonna look at the differences between wrapping the ribs with butcher's paper versus wrapping them in foil. We're gonna look at which method does a better job at producing the best ribs. So I'm gonna see if I can do my part here in the backyard to help solve this question. Let's get started. Firing up the pellet grill is pretty simple. Just hit the on off button, and then we're gonna use the temperature button to go to the temperature we're gonna cook at. Today I'm gonna be cooking at 240. It's a pellet grill, and it has a function called the extreme smoke function. The extreme smoke function just burns a few more pellets, gives us a little more smoke content. It'll probably take us about 15 to 20 minutes to get us to 240. So the Rictec's pretty unique in that it has a huge pellet hopper. It'll hold, I think it's 40 pounds. I'm just topping it off. This is their apple barbecue pellets, so we'll give this a shot. Pellet smokers aren't known for a ton of smoke content. I think it's imperative that you use a smoker tube like this. This is a 12-inch smoker tube, and I just fill it with pellets. I'll put it on the grate and I'll light it with a torch. And I'll let that burn for about 5 minutes to make sure it's good and lit. Here's our two slabs. Now I'm just gonna trim them up and pull the membrane off the back, and then we'll rub them down and they'll be ready to smoke. I usually cut the last rib or so off of my baby backs, and that's because they're all sloppy like this and nobody wants to eat that. So I just pick the last rib and usually cut just inside of it. Same thing on the other side. Gonna be using this Trader Joe's barbecue rub. It's got some coffee, some garlic, and paprika, and all your normal stuff. I don't use binders on my ribs. I also rinsed them off when I unpackaged them. So that, with their natural moisture, they just don't need, artificial moisture. I try to keep it as simple as possible, and you don't need to add steps and, products and things that aren't gonna benefit you in any way. Smoker tube's going, so now it's time to go ahead and get the ribs on. And when you spritz, you wait at least 30 minutes to make sure that the rub is nice and set. What a spritz does is it brings a nice cold surface back to the meat and allows more smoke to stick. I cook ribs to color. I think that's a perfect color. I try to go by the 3-2-1 rule, but and that generally works. After about 3 hours, you usually have the color you're looking for, and that's where I'm at about 3 hours in, and the color is just about where I want it. I'm gonna flip them over, and I've got a 1/4 stick of butter and some string of brown sugar. I'm gonna do the same thing for the foil. So there's the ribs we're gonna put in the foil, and this is where we're gonna kind of change directions and see which way ends up better. We're gonna keep them right in the center. One flip over, flip back, pull the sides up, and I'm gonna put it right back on the grill just like that. Same thing with the paper. Keep it nice and tight. Now to hold that down, I'm just gonna place one rack on the other, just like that. There. And we're gonna go for about another hour and a half, and we'll start checking for tenderness. If If you want any more information on the products you see on the video, hit the show more button down below. Have links down there to help you out. We are at 5 hours. Flip them over. Okay, so when it comes to ribs, what I'm looking for is about 200, a little over 200 degrees. And we're not there, we're at 170. And what you can see, if you see when I pull that probe back out, see how it's pulling back against the probe a little bit? That tells you it's not done. So we're just gonna let them be. Okay, so the last step on these ribs, we didn't put any sauce on, but we're gonna put this rib candy on. This is apple cranberry habanero. This is gonna be some good stuff. And we're gonna do this as quick as possible to maintain as much heat as possible. And then we're gonna rewrap. Nice and tight. And we're gonna rewrap these guys as tight as we can get them. We're gonna set these in the oven for about an hour, keep them warm. All right, let's take a look at these ribs.
Trying to get your attention, you make me nervous.
Let's settle this once and for all. Should we wrap our ribs in butcher paper or should we wrap them in foil? My son doesn't know which is which, so we're gonna taste them and I'm gonna tell you what I think, he's gonna tell you what he thinks. We're gonna start with the rib on the right. All right, let's try the rib on the left. So which one did you think was the most tender?
The most tender was the one on the right, but I like the one on the left the most.
What did you like about the one on the left the most? Just more flavor or?
More flavor, yes.
Okay. And he's right. The one on the right is the foil and is definitely more tender. The one on the left, which is the paper, has a little bit more tug to it and is a little bit more chewy. I enjoyed the foil rib the most. I thought it was the most tender and I thought it had the best flavor. For me, it's clearly, if you foil it, it's a better rib, it's better tasting, it's more tender. And visually, I don't see really any difference at all. They both have a very good smoke ring and the juiciness, it appears that the foil rib, maybe just a little bit more juiciness, and that makes sense. Do your own experiment. The worst thing that can happen is you end up with a bunch of ribs at the end of the night that you have to eat. So there's definitely nothing wrong with that.